Yeah, well, I've got a few images that might make your skin crawl a bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, I think we should start. Um. Welcome all to the second episode of the New Vibes podcast. I can hear myself, Kieran.
Yeah, I don't know why it's done that, but I noticed that on Discord.
It's fine. It
Should we
is.
try it again?
I mean, we can attempt to wait. I'm gonna try and speak very loudly until it's gone.
Yeah, it's
I
still
could
doing it.
slightly hear. I mean, it's not the end of the world. If
Is
that's
it
the
fixed
case,
again?
um, I can't hear myself, so that I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think that's good. I'm just also double checking if I'm recording or not. And the audio levels. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So welcome to. I can hear myself. What the fuck?
Why does it do? Does it wait for you to start recording or something?
I don't know why like this. Okay, it's not doing. I'm gonna speak very. I'm quite close to my mic, so I can speak quite quietly. Oh god. Welcome to the second episode of the New Vibes podcast, and I hate being so like, somewhat like trying to sound professional on this when it's really like this whole idea of this is like the most unprofessional thing somebody could do.
Yeah, don't worry, because you got me, and my accent will bring down the professionalism.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of, oh god, I can still slightly hear myself, but it's fine.
Keep turning it down.
Speaking of, who are you and what are you doing on my podcast?
So I'm Kieran. I've known Krusty for a while, and you invited me while we were having a cigar.
That is true. Kieran is my co-host. Like you're like you will be on sometimes, maybe potentially all the time.
I hope so, unless everyone kicks me out.
Who's everyone? It's just me.
Exactly. Well, like, the board of directors meet up, and then I'm gone.
Yeah, we have a big team behind this entire thing. But no, I mean, like, to be fair, like, even if I have guests on, it would be funny to like for them to interact with you because you're reasons why I thought of you is not only because we're very close, but you are a very funny person, and
I am the charisma.
you are the charisma of this podcast. I'm more cringe than charisma. But now that we've gotten the introduction out of the way, I thought we would structure because the people don't know at home. Oh god, my phone's going. No.
Oh, it was going so well.
I'm not gonna pick it up. I'm not gonna pick it up. I know who it is. It's actually my mother, and I'm not going to pick it up because she could message me. She could message me. So I'm just gonna ignore it, and then when she messages me, I can, reply.
What if it's an emergency?
Oh no, she's asking me if I can come over. I'll tell her. I'll tell her later.
This is the answer. No, then
this is all going in. By the way, I'm just confirming this with you. Yeah, no, I thought I would spice things up in the podcast because we could just be rambling for hours and hours. But I thought we could make things more interesting and fun. If we have a little few like game modes or not even game modes, so just like topics and things like to focus on, and we can then ramble about those things in particular. So I thought we would like do news topics that happened this week. One thing I do if I'm bored at work is I go through the news. But so I've got a bunch of lists of things like funny headlines and things that have happened in the last week that are really interesting. And I also would like to hear Kieran's thoughts on these topics.
it'll be the first time I've heard any of them because I am internet averse.
Yeah, well, so I gotta keep you. This is like how you know what's happening in the outside world, which is ironic considering you're a geography major student. Like
I was graduated and done, and now I'm on my break.
You're on your you're retired now.
I don't need to look at what's going on in the world anymore. It was sad while I did it.
Well, did you know? Right? I think like set your mind back to what year was it? It was 2021. set your mind back then. And
I
there was
was
a
there.
yeah, and there was a big event that happened in 2021 that changed the way we look at things. Was it 2021 or was it 20? No, it wasn't 2021. It was 2020, wasn't it? Anyway,
Okay, so we're
you're
on about
correct.
the pandemic.
No, 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 no. It's not the pandemic. But we're not far off. It wasn't the pandemic. When Mr. Joe Biden came into office, a
Who you?
large, yeah, a large amount of people decided that they wanted to play World of Warcraft at the Capitol building and raid the government essentially. Did you know that now this week Brazil has decided to copy and paste that idea?
That is actually one of the few things I've heard about. I don't know much about it. I know it's Bolsonaro supporters,
Mm-hmm.
but I've only seen headlines and I didn't actually look at it proper.
Yeah. So essentially, they've raided the capital, which I find funny considering he's not even in the country.
He's chilling, but his soldiers fight on for him.
Yeah. Well, they got to do what they got to do, but they're essentially like I was watching some of the videos, and the Capitol building is. It's not like the U.S. Capitol building, where there's lots of steps and like it's like it almost looks like a modern art building, and so it's just kind of like funny seeing the Brazilian version of the Capitol storming.
It looks pretty modern. Like I hadn't seen it, but it looked like a fancy building.
Yeah, it looked like some sort of like art college.
Going to Canterbury Christchurch University, just storming that.
Yeah, and yeah, so I mean, maybe they're scared that they might turn into crocodiles. Did you ever know about his what's his name? Sorry, you said his name a minute ago.
Bolsonaro.
Bolsonaro, yes, he once claimed that COVID vaccinations could turn you into a crocodile. Well, as some Portuguese translators said to me, it's actually an alligator, but
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past. It could happen.
Yeah. Well, I hope the best comes out of it. I haven't heard of any deaths yet. I literally just saw the headline and saw like a video of it and thought, wow, that was interesting.
I think it's kind of mad how the way it's been 2 years since the American one.
Yeah.
Right.
But it sort of feels like it was yesterday.
I was shocked that it was 2 years because when it was the other day, like January 6th, I thought it had been a year since it happened. And then I saw on Twitter, everyone was like, oh, 2 years since this happened. And I was like, nah, I think I've skipped a year.
Do you think they timed it like to the American one? Like, because they happen at similar times.
Oh, yeah, like Bolsonaro's been gone for like a couple of months.
I think, well, I'm just thinking the last news video I did, which was he came into power of a new president in October.
Okay, yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah. So he's, but they think he's a communist, which I feel like is an insult to communists, if I'm completely honest.
I am offended.
Okay, we'll move on to the next story. So I've got some sad news. Our boy Kim in the most amazing country in the world, North Korea.
The glorious leader.
Yeah, the best Korea, I should say. He's having a midlife crisis, apparently.
Poor guy.
I know. It's really depressing. He cries. I didn't think the man could cry, but he cries. And
me and Kim spending our weekends doing the same stuff.
I know. I feel more relatable to him now.
Exactly.
I think this is maybe the reason why he's going a bit more aggressive on foreign policy. Because he's just trying to express himself.
Did you see actually that Kim, well, North Korea, I don't know if it was Kim himself, but one of the people over there they had South Korean football on the telly for like the first time in ages, apparently.
Wow.
It was when South Korea lost to Brazil in the World Cup in December. They showed it. Well, they showed the highlights. They kept out South Korea's goal, but showed Brazil's 4. But that's progress.
That is progress, showing that
Times are changing.
I don't know if it's like I'm sure they just wanted to show South Korea lose, but like they've identified that South Korea is a real place.
It exists.
It exists.
It lost to Brazil. It has to exist.
Didn't they back in 2010? Because it wasn't North Korea. I swear, I've had this discussion with people, and I think I've confirmed it. North Korea was in the World Cup in 2010, right?
Yeah, they were in South Africa.
Yes, yeah. And so I remember they were showing clips to the public on big screens of them defeating Portugal like 7-1.
Yeah, and didn't they call like they said I saw it and the news like anchor that was reading it out was like beat the Portuguese pigs or something.
Which is funny
It's
because
pretty creative. I'm sorry if they didn't say that, but I remember there being something about pigs.
But it's just like, why? Like, what did Portugal ever do to you?
The lost in football, as we all know, when North Korea won the World Cup in 2010.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you got the trophy for a World Cup, you tend to become a little bit overconfident in your abilities.
Yeah, you get a bit cocky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is fair enough if you win. Like, unfortunately, England hasn't.
Not
in
a long while.
Not in our lifetimes.
But we.
Hope that's not doxing us, saying how young we are, not born in '66.
I mean, you don't know how old I am. I could be that old.
I know. They might not know, but I know.
For our next story, article came out a few weeks ago. Now I've completely forgotten where the article came from. I don't know. It was the BBC. It was the BBC for Children. You know that one, like I'm guessing the BBCC.
Was it CBBC?
It's like the news, but like it has like the BBC logo on them.
We used to watch that in school. It was called like News Round or something.
Yeah, I think it's like that because like isn't CBBC taken down now? It's not a thing anymore.
Don't ruin my childhood.
I think
is it actually gone?
I think it's gone. I think they took it. They finished like doing it because everybody's watching YouTube and streaming and stuff now. I think. I don't quote me on this. I think it's been shut down, but I can look it up in a second. But
that's sad if it has. I'm actually quite disappointed if that's gone.
But in this like our article, it was talking about banished words and terms for 2023, and it's essentially a bunch of parents complaining, and parents and teachers that want certain words banned in schools. Right now, to any of the Americans listening, banning words is like not very American. Would you agree or disagree? Like,
no comment.
No. So I have actually the list. It's a top 10 list of words that want to be banned from school. And you will not guess what the number one word is.
Andrew Tate.
No, weirdly enough, he's not on this list.
Is he not?
No, but I did see a bunch of reports saying like how teachers are curtailing the use of Andrew Tate and the support for Andrew Tate in schools.
He's banned at my little brother's school. They can't mention it.
Man, how did a man's like so much power?
No one man can have all that power.
Yeah. So the number one word that wants that parents and teachers want banned in schools is goat.
But Messi is the goat.
Yeah, I know. Messi is the goat, and like they want to ban that word. It's like you can't do that.
It's not even bad. Like, you know, schools should want to teach children about, I don't know what it's called when is it abbreviations?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When you shorten a sentence into like letters, greatest of all time, goat.
Yeah.
They should promote that in school because I don't know what that word's called, and maybe if we had goat when I was a kid, I'd know.
Yeah, but it's also like you're being constantly told to shorten your sentences and making it more efficient to talk and stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you can say goat and you know what it means, then it's like, you know.
The teachers are fighting a losing battle, I swear, with like computers and that, because like they're still making kids write out exams on like pen and paper, and it's like, what is the point?
You could like argue that like teachers like one of the largest contributors to like deforestation.
I wonder, do you think in school do they still learn like joined up writing?
Oh, like connecting the letters together.
Yeah.
No, like no. Like I mean, I know what you mean. I just it's like I don't do that anymore at all in my writings.
Well, like as soon as you got into secondary school, it was like, right, you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah,
It was
so
like, what do you mean you've spent 6 years teaching me this?
I don't
Now
know.
you're telling me that that's not good.
I never thought about that before. That's so weird.
Yeah, this it was like the biggest thing because I remember I had bad handwriting and I was never allowed a pen at school because my handwriting was bad. Had to use a pencil. And then you go to like secondary and they don't want you to write joined up anymore, and then my handwriting magically became good.
Yeah. No, I was like they thought I was like dyslexic, so they put me into like special classes, and then they were like, "No, we're gonna force you to like write where like the A joins into like the
Oh, did you
yeah,
have one of the books where it was just like the
lines."
same letter over and over
Oh
and
yeah,
over
yeah,
again on lines,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
just like follow it's like dot to dot, but the letters just over and over and over again.
Exactly that, exactly that, and it drove me insane, and I don't think it actually helped in any way.
It definitely didn't help me.
It just like
I just had that as homework, and I'd do it because I was a good kid in that, like in primary, but it didn't make my handwriting any better.
no, because you're writing out a single letter when you're actually writing like if I write down right now, like I got a pen in front of me, and I write down like A, in like, let's say capital A, right? I got capital A. I write down A, and I can make it look like beautiful. If I'm writing down a word, let's say like Brazil, then I'm thinking about writing the word and not the actual like individual letter. And now when I start thinking about like the individual letter, my handwriting looks ugly as shit.
So the only thing that joined up writing, or cursive, I think some people call it,
Mm.
the only thing that taught me is how to have like a nice looking signature. That's it.
Yeah, I mean that handwriting that you do for a signature that nobody can actually read because it is barely English.
I've sort of got a little game going on in my head, and it's like I know what my signature's meant to spell,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think anyone else could work it out. Like there's clearly a K there, but then the rest of it is gone.
I was gonna say, for me, it's like you can tell what the first letter is, you can tell what the last letter is, but everything in between is almost impossible to tell what is. You know, it's yeah. But
I'm like with mine, I'm just like sort of the middle letters are just all about like roughly doing what the hand would do if I bothered to write it out. So like the right amount of upstrokes basically on the pen,
Mm.
but the like actual shape of the letters make no sense. And then the last letter is the worst because that one just goes into the scribble that goes around it.
Yeah. Did you ever have to like awkwardly explain your terrible handwriting? Like it's like so I had to like sign signatures when I was a kid. For like certain things that I didn't understand. And I thought it'd be really cool to have like a really unique signature and did like a stupid shape and shit. And then it was only like years later where they're like, "Oh, your new signature doesn't match your old one." I'm like, "Look up, man! I was like 6."
It's never happened to me, but I feel like it will eventually because I think the signature on my like provisional license, I think it's
Mm.
like my old signature, which like when I was younger, my dad just told me to like put in like my first initial and my last name.
Mm.
'Cause, and that's what I did. I just wrote that out like normally,
My dad was
and
just
that was
like,
my signature for a while. And then like now I've got a proper signature that I like use for signing forms and that. But no one's ever called me up on it.
I mean, my dad was like, okay, your signature. I was like, what does my signature look like? He's like, you can look like anything you want. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have like stars and shit and shapes and things. And my dad was like looking at my signature. He's like, are you sure you want to have it like that? Like, he just
See,
like knew that was gonna cause me problems in the future.
I plan on being famous, so my signature takes like a second to do.
Ah, yeah, so you can like mass like sign when you're like in the
Yeah,
red carpet.
exactly. Like when people are taking like I get presented with photos of my face,
Hmm.
and it takes me a second. Don't even have to look at them.
I did that
Just
when I was in Atlanta. I signed somebody's um like notebook, and it was so hard to, because here's the thing, I don't use my real name on online, and so I
your
had
real
to.
name's not Krusty.
Yeah, well, you.
I've known you for years. What? What?
No, but I had to use the crusty term, and like I had to come up with a signature to do it, and it was so difficult to, like, to think on the spot, like, holy shit, what do I use? But yeah, no, actually I was about to say, I won't go for all the words because there's like 10 of them, and not all of them are like make sense. Like number 2 is inflection point. I don't know that is in reference to. So I don't know why that's a banished word, but I like how number 4 is gaslighting. Like the term
Gaslighting's a real thing.
that's it. Sorry, go.
No, but when I was in uni, like we would write about gaslighting as a thing that happens.
Yeah, but like some, like I don't know if it's like parents or teachers are annoyed that students are like feel like they're being gaslit.
But it's an actual like, so I can't remember the context that I was using it in uni, but I remember like reading a proper journal article, like academic journal article, that was on about gaslighting and stuff. Can't remember if it was maybe it was one of the feminist things I did, or maybe it was like something about. I think it was climate change actually. It was on climate change, and it was talking about how like corporations gaslight people into believing that or used to gaslight people into believing that climate change wasn't man-made because there was like a couple of industry-backed scientists that would put out research that they would fund to like disprove climate change. And like that doesn't happen anymore because now it's just accepted.
Yeah.
But I think the journal article I was reading was like something about gaslighting and climate change discourse.
Yeah, I got the worst gaslighting I remember. I got gaslighted at school and at university, but I just remember the worst one was with my family. And I was trying to tell my family that I'd read that, like, and it's true. Like, I think this was must have been back in like 2013, 2012. Um, like some foreign military, and I'm trying to think which military it was. I think it may have been Ukraine, but I might be wrong. Was There was a special operation to teach dolphins to like assist military units, and like,
Interesting.
yeah, no, but like it was actually like a really, because I mean obviously dolphins are really intelligent, so it was like really easy to somewhat teach them how to do stuff, and like would attach like little dart shooters on their fins, and like it was a real program and thing. I don't know how far it got or anything. All I know is it was an attempt. And I was telling my parents this, and like my sister, I remember this. She was like, "Just like that. This you're just full of shit or whatever." And I was like, showed her the articles. I was like, "It's true." And then like she kept convincing me and my family that I was insane. And like it got me so mad. And my parents just like then took me being mad and angry as me just being like an asshole. And I was like, "No, because none of you are believing me or like taking me seriously." And they're just like laugh at me. And I was like, "This is," and I think that's when I first learned the word gaslighting.
I have a similar thing, right? Where at uni, one of my friends did biology,
Mm,
and you know what YouTube's like. You end up on rabbit holes, right?
hmm.
And I don't know what video this was, but I learned about like the social structure of grass-eating monkeys in Ethiopia.
Mm.
And I go up to my friend and I'm telling them about these monkeys in Ethiopia, and they're just like, no, there's absolutely like no way these monkeys can exist. What do you mean grass eating monkeys? And I was like, well, the monkeys, but the diet is grass. And they're just like, no, evolutionarily, that cannot happen. What are you on about? Like, why would something evolve to eat grass? It's the least effective thing to eat. And I was like, I didn't look into that part, but I promise you it happens. And they just wouldn't believe me for ages. And then eventually they were around our house and we were all like sat in the conservatory, just like scrolling through YouTube. And that video popped up again. And I had like the biggest, like, see, I fucking told you moment. They still refuse to believe it and tell me that I'm lying. But they saw the video. They know it exists, and I've googled them many times, and they do exist.
Yeah, no, it's just annoying, and gaslighting is real, everybody. I'm just pointing this out here.
No, it's not.
I feel like the problem is that maybe students are using the word too much. Like, if they feel like they're in a position where they feel like they can't get out of, they might use that as a scapegoat. But still, wouldn't ban the word. Like,
the Holy Trinity is gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Girl boss, yeah. Well,
that is the Holy Trinity. If you can do all three, you've won.
I'm sad about number 10 on the list though, because the saying is, it is what it is. Apparently, that is a banished term for 2023 at schools.
But that's like the English version of like c'est la vie.
Yeah. You know, like it is what it is. Like, I just don't get, like, what's the point of like being annoyed at phrases or words? I get it if it's like, oh, well, okay, for example, and I don't care what anybody says to me. My favorite term to use is that sounds like a you problem. Like, just when people are like moaning and complaining and stuff, and it's like literally nothing I can do, I will just tell them, well, that sounds like a you problem.
I kind of hate it, because my sister-in-law uses it a lot.
Well, no, I hate it when they use it like out of, like, if it's like I gotta do like the bins now or something like that, and it's like, yeah, that sounds like a you problem. It's like, well, you could help me, or just it's just like, you don't need to be an asshole about it. It's more like to do with things like, I did this, and I had to do this, and I have this, and I gotta do this now, and I gotta do this, and it's like, well, yeah.
It's like I was staying around, so at my sister-in-law's, and I'm cooking food for everyone, and I got like, obviously, like I don't eat meat, so my diet is different to everyone else's, and I'm used to eating like food without the big meat heavy protein in. So I can't remember if I was asking something like, oh, should I put like beans in this for protein, or are you all right with like just the veg that I already have in it? And they just went, oh, that sounds like a you problem. And it's like, no, this is a you problem. This is an us problem. This is everyone's problem. I'm trying to do something for you. What do you mean a me problem? I don't like it. People, nah. That one can get banned from schools, even though they're not. I'm banning that one from school.
All right. I'm gonna try and like skip some of these just so we can get on schedule. One of my favorite ones.
Late.
I written this story when it first happened, and the story was Cornwall came into space. Essentially, if you don't know,
Cornish pasty.
Well, no. Well, I think they should have used that, but essentially Virgin were doing this thing where they were going to launch a rocket from a 747, and the rocket was going to launch from the wing and then go into space, and it would have been like the first ever like successful launch from the UK in actually ever, apparently, because we've been launching our rockets in Australia, because Australia is our our nuclear test site.
Our toy.
Yeah, our toy. that we get to do what we want with. So I had the story down as Cornwall can go.
I love
Can
Australia, by the way. I'm sorry.
I don't. No. So I said it as like, the whole joke is like Poland into space, can into space. It's like Cornwall can into space because the plane took off from Cornwall. But within a couple of minutes of the launch, the rocket failed and crashed. Well, it didn't crash. Something happened. I think it was like a lack of oxygen in the engine or something, and it blew up or something. I don't know. It did. All I can tell is it fell out of the sky. And I was very, very sad because not only was this the first ever time a rocket was being launched in the UK, which it wasn't technically because it was over like the south of Ireland when it was doing it, but it was.
So the Irish blew up the rocket.
Maybe potentially. There's some theories out there, but the IRA are still around. But no, it messed up with a lot of things. Like now, apparently, they lost 100 million pounds worth of shit on it because it had like a bunch of satellites and things. It had Oman's first ever satellite.
I like Oman as well.
I know, it's so sad. And it had like a bunch of like new ground, like breaking. What's the word I'm thinking of? Like, groundbreaking stuff, right? Like all these satellites that cost millions and millions of dollars, and it all got destroyed. And now, here's the thing: you can't really fuck up on a mission like this because there's so much interest in it, and like people invest in it. And now that you failed once, people are not going to invest or be interested again.
That's the last time we launch a rocket from Britain.
Exactly. That's why that's the sad thing. The overall sadness of this whole entire fiasco is
once the North gets independence, then we'll be a new country and we can launch rockets.
Is you think Yorkshire can launch a rocket from Yorkshire?
Yeah, we're well smart us like.
Right. Okay. On to the next story. This actually we're this is a funny story. It's similar. It's actually related to this story. So obviously we know Richard Branson is the CEO of Virgin. So they were interviewing him recently about before the launch and stuff and asking him a bunch of questions. And then like the topic of Elon Musk came up with him. And apparently Branson and Musk had an encounter once, and I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever fucking heard. Apparently Musk just showed up to his house. And the way that the headline... Now, I'll give some context. He didn't just like... he did just show up. He kind of showed up in the driveway, rang the doorbell, kind of stuff. But the way the article presented it was that like Musk just like was in his kitchen one day. Like that
you
was
wake up from like you've had a long night. You go down for your breakfast, and there's like Elon Musk just making some scrambled eggs.
Yeah. Like, what if it? I was thinking, what like it was like the Avengers, like it was like the first Iron Man movie where like Nick Fury's in like the background of his living room, and he's like, I'm making a team. I'm getting a team together. Like, it's just like
getting the band back together.
It was just like Elon Musk in his like house, and he's like, Brandon's like, what the fuck? He's like, shh.
It's okay. We're a spaceman. It's okay.
Other stories. The UN says the ozone is all good. Apparently.
Yeah. So this is a thing that always baffles me, right? Is like when we were younger, the ozone was destroyed. Like everyone was like, it's gonna kill us all. And then like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I start being told, oh, the ozone's sorted now. It's sound. It's grown back. Everyone's loving it. Australia's not gonna burn. And then like maybe like 2 years ago or something, I start seeing like geographical articles like going on about the ozone's being like it's getting thinner again. And now they're like, oh, it's fine actually. So what? Like the ozone baffles me. I understand it's like oxygen free and it like protects a lot of the sun's stuff from getting into the atmosphere. I should use better words. I did do this at uni once. But I understand what it does and it's destroyed by CFCs, right? But it's everything else in like the world takes so long to happen
Mm.
or to be fixed, but this ozone stuff seems to be like, oh, every year we need to like take it for a checkup, or else like no, like nothing else in this world seems to like change as much as the ozone layer.
Yeah, correct me if you're wrong. You're more qualified on this than me. We've been like it was the CFCs were mostly being produced through like things like deodorant, like old deodorant sprays and can sprays and things like that.
Yeah, so yeah, it's aerosol sprays and refrigerants.
Yeah, and so I think it was like, I mean, to be fair, like it was pretty early on when I think it's like in the 80s or 90s when they were like, holy shit, okay, we need to stop this right now, like just completely cut it off because they knew that the world was about to catch on fire essentially, because if my understanding is correct, that greenhouse gases don't actually damage the ozone. The ozone's mostly because ozone is what, oxygen free or something, like, was it, is it the
Yeah,
chemical
it's
make
all free oxygen
free?
free, so
Yeah,
free oxygen atoms together
yeah.
having a party. Yeah, the greenhouse gases don't change that. I think the ozone is about the ultraviolet
Mm.
light and radiation from the sun getting into the atmosphere. And instead of being caught by the ozone layer in the upper atmosphere, it ends up down towards our surface and makes temperatures hotter, and also like leads to increased cancers and stuff.
Mm. That's, yeah, that's what like I was thinking that, yeah, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah, I was
Uh
just borrowing the words. You knew it. I was taking them off you. I read your script.
yeah, exactly. Um, for our next story, um, we Putin is also going through a midlife crisis. Apparently, he was very sad on Christmas. Um,
It'll be lonely this
so I
Christmas.
just want to show you, and I'll put it in the podcast when I edit this later. But I just want to show you an image that kind of sums up, I think, a lot of people's Christmases this year. And it's just it's just like this picture. You'll see, you'll get it now. Once it's just sent.
Me when my brother gets a better toy.
Yeah, it's just like this man is. I don't know why. Like, it's just a pose.
Yeah, he looks a bit sad, but then he's like, spread out wide, like assertive, and
He's
it's assertive sadness.
It's like an Oblivion NPC. Well, this is, oh, no, this is exactly how I imagine Musk being in Branson's kitchen. Like, like Richard Branson's just like making his breakfast, and then like Musk is in the background standing there.
Just waiting.
Yeah. Um. And
It's like
for
when
oh, go on.
it's when like you're out when you were younger, like your parents have friends around, but you want to talk to your parents, and you just sort of stood there like that, waiting for like your parents to stop talking to the friends so you can ask a stupid question. It's exactly that pose, in it.
It is quite an interesting post. I think the article said that he was just really upset. He wasn't happy, which
He doesn't look happy. I'll give the article that. Good journalism.
yeah. It said, I think it was like oh, well, one of them says that Putin praises Russian Orthodox Church for backing troops in Ukraine. Now they don't specifically say which troops. Apparently,
It's also the Russian Orthodox Church. Like,
according to the Jamestown Foundation, this is their headline: Putin's lonely Christmas amid his hopeless war.
I don't even want to say poor guy. Like, normally I'd say poor guy.
It's just like he just looks like an anime character. I don't know what it is.
God.
For our final story of the news, so we can get on to other stuff. The UK sends their Challenger 2 tanks to Ukraine. And I think I know why this is happening, right?
Because we're not going to use them.
Well, there's that. There's definitely that. We've got a new tank coming out called the Challenger 3. So the Challenger 2 is like the old model. So we're like kind of donating the old shit to them. But I think I know why. Because the law with tanks in the UK is all British tanks have to have kettles in them. Right?
Of course.
And I think what happened was we were like so desperate to sell tea for like since we've left the EU, we're so desperate to sell tea to like international trade and stuff that when we now sell like kettles and shit, we have to give them a free tank.
Do you think, like the rest of Europe, did they drink like, you know, Yorkshire tea? Like, is that?
We're not the biggest tea drinkers, sadly. No. If you count Turkey as a part of Europe, then they are technically the largest tea drinkers
like,
in Europe.
I imagine if you go to Europe and like want a cup of like English breakfast tea, then maybe like if you're in a posh place, you might get Twinings, but I imagine it's mostly like Lipton's.
Mm.
I can't imagine seeing like Yorkshire tea or PG Tips or something like in a country that like doesn't love English tea. Like unless there's a big like British expat community or like migrant community, I cannot see Yorkshire tea in that place.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just I'm interested to see how that goes. So we've come to the end of our news segment.
Aww.
Aww. Yeah, so now it's time to spin the wheel. To those who don't know, I've got a wheel set up, and it's got a bunch of different funny segments that we are going to attempt to do today, as this is like more of an experiment than anything. So I'm gonna spin the wheel and see what we get. Okay, spinning the wheel, and the wheel says Game Theory. Yes. Okay. So, Mr. Kieran, do you have a conspiracy theory that you believe in?
Ted Cruz is the Zodiac killer.
Why do you think that?
Have you seen Ted Cruz?
I have, and he does very much look like the Zodiac killer. But I feel like he's too incompetent.
No, okay. Ted Cruz definitely isn't the Zodiac killer, but I do like that.
I mean, I don't think Ted Cruz would be happy to just get rid of to end the lives of just a couple of people.
Just a couple.
Yeah, I was gonna say he if he was gonna start killing people, it'll be a lot of people.
What do I think? Oh, actually, I've got a real conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you remember Tiger King?
Mm-hmm.
A long, long time ago. That was all the rage. And Carol Baskin, I think, didn't kill her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I think her husband did like just basically realize she's sort of insane and decided I'm gonna go live in like Costa Rica or Panama and just chill for the rest of my life. I'm gonna make it look like I disappeared and I'm gonna go chill.
Well, have you watched season 2?
No.
That's essentially what they say.
Oh, they stole it off me.
Yeah, they think he actually got killed by like a bunch of like mobsters in Panama.
No, I think he's living the good life.
He's just vibing.
He's not dead, he's vibing.
He's like watching it on Netflix, like laughing the entire time.
Yeah, like, and the thing is, right, people would be like, oh, why hasn't he come out then if he's still alive, and been like, oh no, it's me. And it's because like to live with Carol Baskin would be so much pain and suffering that it's just not worth it for him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I've got a good conspiracy theory.
Oh, good, because mine aren't.
I've got one where, so essentially, from what my understanding is, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, from what I've heard, is that casinos in the US fund education systems when they pay tax, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding is that when we were having a discussion before, we've had this discussion before. When you bet, right? If like you do a spin wheel, no,
Roulette table.
yeah, roulette table, yeah. No matter what number you get, that doesn't decrease or increase your chances of like, getting a different number. It's always the same amount of percentage chance that you're getting a number. But a lot of people in the US, like a lot of kids in the US, don't think like that, and think like, oh yeah, 76. Oh, I got 76% chance now because I've got the same number like 3 times in a row or whatever, right? It's like, no, it's not how that works. And so I think that the casinos are funding the like bad education when it comes to what's the term I'm thinking of, probability. I think the casinos are purposely trying to teach kids bad probability maths in the US schools so that they go out and bet more.
What I don't get about the US education actually is just the fact that they seem to do everything right and know nothing.
I was thinking about this the other day. Like, we in the UK, like, we once you get older, a bit older and older, you go into like really niche specific topics and subjects.
Yeah,
Well,
like you
yeah,
concentrate.
yeah. You go into the classification. You go into your specific route that you want to go and follow in. While like, yeah, in the US, it feels like you're kind of still covering everything right up until the end.
Like even in uni, they're doing everything, aren't they? Like you still have to do like math. Well, don't have to do maths, but you do a bunch of like minors in things like maths and stuff while you're at uni, don't you?
Yeah, but it's like also like if you're like, I think it's like, last year of school in the US. I don't know if you have to take a language, but it's like if that's not your goal or like your what you want to do with your life, but you're being forced to learn an entire language while trying to study a really like specific subject that requires like a lot of focus. It's like what's the point? It's like,
I know there's some schools in the UK that make you do a language at least till the end of GCSE.
yeah.
I don't like that because I can't speak language.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the language is not an easy subject for everybody, and it's like, for example, it's like, I think I was watching like a show once, and like I was a kid, I was probably on Disney Channel or something, and like kids like at school, and she's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go, and we're gonna have to go to French and stuff, and I was like, you're in your last year of school, and you're learning French, and I was like thinking about like I think she wants to be like a singer or something, I can't remember. But the whole thing that I was getting confused about is, okay, if you're forced to like learn a language in your last year of school, let's say French, are you ever gonna move to France? Probably not. Okay. Are you ever gonna like work in a French company? Don't think so. No. Okay. So why the fuck are you learning French?
Yeah, French seems like a weird one for the US. Like I understand it in like England and Europe and
Well, the
all
only
of
reason
that.
why the only reason why we learn French in Europe is because the French are the only country that just don't want to learn any other language. Like, Germans are
Have
happy.
you met Britain?
No, okay, yes, the UK's the same, but everybody speaks English. And like Germany, Germans will learn English, and like everybody else in Europe, even Spanish people will learn English. It's like the French are like, no, we will only speak French.
Well, I think it's because French people sit there and they go, right, we should learn a second language. What's the most useful second language? English. Oh, well, I'm not learning English because I hate the English. So, all right, what's the third most useful language? And then it's like, ooh, could be Spanish, maybe. But then is it actually how many people speak Spanish here? German, they're pretty close. Not really, because, only Germany speak German.
Mm.
And Switzerland.
I mean,
Austria.
I'd be surprised how many French people speak Chinese.
Is there a lot?
Maybe. I mean, like, I've been to France lots of times. I don't know many French people who maybe not in maybe in the south, but in the north, I'm sure there's not a lot of French people who speak Spanish, and I don't speak a lot of English. Like, here's the thing: I'm trying to learn French at the moment, And like I feel like even British people to an extent can try to attempt to learn specific parts of a language. But what I find funny is when I speak to somebody who's like trying to learn a language, like trying to learn English, right? They understand a few words, they just can't like make full sentences, and their English is quite broken, which I already appreciate because I can tell that person has spent a long time trying to like learn those words and stuff. But when like I go to like France, it's like they don't even understand like the easiest words to do, like things like yes, no, maybe, like those, or like
No, it's the same.
well, yeah, no, it's the same. But I get that like a lot of Europe, where it's like a lot of times they will just go, "No, I just it's not of a sense of, oh, I don't want to speak the language. Like I know it's because it's hard or anything, or I'm not bothered to learn it. It's more of a spite, going like, no, I will not. I refuse to speak this language."
I think one of the weird things I've learned about a lot of like European languages is that I can't speak any of them, like other than like really basic stuff that you do at school for like Spanish and French.
Mm.
But if I ever go, like whenever I've been to Spain or to Portugal, uh, like or when I read things in French, like at French supermarkets and stuff, I can work out, like I can read these languages and work out what they're trying to say.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's like knowledge of things at school or just like because a lot of the languages like borrow like sounds of words from other languages. So
I mean, I get that in France. When I go to France, like after like 2 weeks, I start like hearing French as like another language. Like I hear it, like I can understand what they're saying, and it's kind of like weird, quite eerie.
yeah, because like when I was in Portugal, it's like I could figure out like what all the road signs like even the ones without the pictures, but I could figure out that the road signs were trying to say like if I'm reading the back of like a food box like for instructions, I can figure that all out.
Mm. Yeah.
Like it just, I guess because a lot of European languages like borrow things,
Yeah.
I can work it out and I can read stuff, but I can't speak it and I can't like pronounce the words that I'm reading. But if you put like a Portuguese sentence in front of me or a Spanish sentence, or probably even an Italian one, even though I've not tested that, I reckon I could figure it out.
Mm. Yeah. Exactly. Um. Okay. Let's move on to the Q&A segment. Now, I didn't mention on Twitter that you were going to be on the podcast, so sadly, I don't think I've got any questions that are specifically rooted to you.
No one knows who I am.
Yeah.
There is that.
There is that. So I'm just going to grab the comments here. So we're going to kind of like, I'm going to split it up into different segments, just because asking them all at once would be, well, answering them all at once would be too long. And we need to break this up a bit because I need to go to the toilet in a bit. Yeah, but that's fine because I can just clip it together later. So I'm gonna start off with like my least favorite question, which sounds like kind of like dickish of me to say I have a least favorite question. But one of the questions was, what questions would you like to be asked about your Saturday podcast?
I thought that was going to be your least favorite question.
And sure, I said anything you want to ask, literally anything, and the person didn't reply. So it kind of hurt because I was like, that you wasted your opportunity.
Question.
They did ask a question, yeah, but it's just like it was kind of like, no, but we actually did get some really good questions. So I'm gonna start off with, let me just quickly. We got somebody who's just like named Dot, but the name is their handle is at Lucky Ronan. So thank you very much, Lucky Ronan, for coming into the podcast and asking a question on Twitter. You asked, why is Swag taking so long to come back with milk? Surely the line isn't that long. Well, you see. Well, you know, you know, I
The
don't know.
line can be long.
I don't know how to reply to this without breaking their heart.
They're not coming back. I'll put it out there.
No. No, no. The truth is he's playing Titanfall 2 and he forgot about you. I'm sorry. That is a big sad. Actually, I do ask this question quite often, because he's not always the greatest at replying. But you know, he's pretty good. He's not compared to some people. But yeah.
I'm brilliant at replying. I'm on it.
I'm not. And you know it for sure. I'm not.
Everyone should be more like me. Your phone's always in your pocket. Just use it.
No, my phone is actually always on my bed. I forget it's there.
To be fair though, most people that don't reply it annoys me because it's like your phone is always in your pocket. Use it.
I think my phone is too fat to be in my pocket.
Foldable. Stupid.
8 of 7 asks, is there anything you learned / started using during your time editing for news about the bullshit? Skills, software, etc. I've got a really good answer to this one. I never knew that I've wanted to work with the mentally disabled before. And now I'm glad that I've done it. And that's my answer.
Community service.
Charity. No, software, no. To be fair, I didn't learn anything new. That's not true. I learned a few things, like drop shadows are really nice, and don't waste your time on motion blur because you won't need it. But software, like learning things, wasn't really the case because it was after my university degree, and you're always learning software. But I've been using Premiere for over 10 years now, so nothing really new in that sense. Skill, patience, a lot of patience. Also, before joining the channel, I had never done a full 48 hours of not going to sleep, so that was something I learned the human body could actually do.
Mature hours.
Yeah, you're better than that. Yeah. I'm trying to think of something like I said, talking to disabled people. That's a good skill that I learned. I'm being too harsh on the team now. Yeah, no, I thought that, to be fair, there's like nothing much. Yeah. So I'm gonna pause the questions there, and I will answer some later. And before we go on to our next topic wheel, I need to go pee. I need to refill my drink. Let's take a break.
Okay.
We are back. Yes?
Yes.
We are back. Amazing. I actually missed a point, so we're gonna just quickly go over that point. Fact of the week. It is gonna be a returning thing that we do every week. Fact of the week. What is your fact of the week?
Okay. I'm actually looking for it and I lost it. I had it.
Fact of the week.
My notes are not well organized, so you go first.
The fact of the week is that Kieran can't think of a fact of the week.
No, I had one because I was looking it up before we started, and now I've lost it. Well, you made my original one go into a different category, so. I've got it actually.
Okay, you go first.
So, I learned this week, and by this week I mean today, that the Statue of Liberty is not in New York.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Do you know where it is?
I've seen it though.
Not in New York.
Where it is? Where is it then?
It's in New Jersey.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Is it because it goes over the water border?
Yeah, so it's in New Jersey's waters instead of New York's waters.
Oh, take that, liberals.
It's kind of cursed knowledge that, but
Don't tell the
like,
New Yorkers that.
apparently that will like start a fight with New Yorkers, but like Liberty Island is in like New York's Congress like area, but the island is actually in New Jersey waters.
Well, this is an. I have a similar story, right? Um,
Okay.
there's a castle in France, right? And I actually, where my parents live, um, it's right next to them, right? It's like the most iconic castle you can think of. Not the German one you're probably thinking of right now. It is like the one that's in the middle of the water, and it's like a massive, like giant castle.
I've seen it on Pokemon X and Y that's set in France.
Sure. I wait. What? There's a Pokemon game set in France? Wait, I gotta hold up. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah, Pokemon X and Y was like the France Pokemon.
Okay,
You didn't,
sure.
when was the last Pokemon you played?
The last Pokemon I played is a cracked version of Red and Blue.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
Back when we
The-
we cracked it all on iPads and shit. No, that was.
oh,
I don't really play. I don't have a Switch anymore. And when I did have a Switch, I didn't even have Pokemon on it. So, I haven't played Pokemon in a very long time. But
oh, I
yeah,
play so much Pokemon. I'll get into it another point, but
um,
new Pokemon, I've got opinions on.
we'll add a segment to like game review of like the week or whatever. That'd be
It's a
good.
bit of a hot take, so maybe it'll come up.
If all right, so Mont Saint Michel is the castle I was thinking of. Now there are two different regions in France in the north. Well, not two, but like these are major ones. And one people might recognize is Normandy. It's obviously where the Normandy beach invasions happened, and the other part is Brittany. Now, the castle it literally sits on the border, like it is split on the border between Normandy and Brittany, and no one really knows where this thing is. And I've driven to it, and I've driven past it and stuff, and I couldn't tell you where it is because if you go to the Brittany side of the border, all their tourism is based on this castle. You know, it's like postcards and like teacups of this castle. I mean, you go on the Normandy side of the border, about like a 10-minute drive away, and the shop will have it being under a Normandy flag and like it's all Normandy stuff, and nobody knows what what it is. I'll show a
Well,
picture of the castle.
the Pokemon Reddit, if you want to know, claims that the Tower of Mastery, which is in Pokemon, is based off of the castle in Normandy.
Ooh,
And that's Pokemon Reddit taking a side there.
that sounds like is it maybe because Normandy is more well known?
Is it?
I'm
Okay,
because like
maybe.
Like don't get me wrong, Brittany is like not as well known, but if you think about it, like everybody knows Normandy because of the Normandy invasions. But I'm gonna show you like the Google maps, right? Because there's no actually like clear border to tell you where one. I mean, there's a slight border, and according to Google Maps, it says it's in Normandy. But I can just show you from, and I'll send you the link now. 1 second. I'll send you the link now, and you can tell me like how close this thing is to the border.
There appears to be a line specially for it.
Yeah. And they like no one. Here's the thing. I think it's its own little thing because half of the time it's all submerged underwater, so like you can't get to it. So it's technically it's a little own island, but when the tide is down, you can walk to it.
I'm looking at the border, and it do be looking like it's in Normandy.
Yeah. Well, don't tell anybody in Brittany that. But the
I
funny,
will consider that when I eventually go there.
my question is, why who would put something like that there? Like, what's the point? I know the point was like a military, like a strategic military thing for the English when they were in France, but like, I don't get why. Like, it's just, yeah, let's put a castle here. Like, not just any castle, like the most magnificent looking castle you could possibly make.
It makes a good battle tower in the Pokemon post game, and they were thinking of the future. They were future proofing France.
They knew one day Pokemon would be a thing, and they would put it in their game.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, we need something that is going to be like adapted by a Japanese company and really push forward uh, French values and culture." And they were like, "Right, castle on the water."
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
They did know of the Japanese back then.
Yes. um my fact of the week is, did you know that in Switzerland it is illegal to own just one guinea pig?
Are guinea pigs like social animals? They are, aren't they?
Yes. So essentially, technically speaking, if you own one guinea pig, it is legally a form of animal cruelty in Switzerland. Because they do need to be with another guinea pig.
I back that, because it's like there's a few animals like that, you know, because it's like lovebirds and sugar gliders. Like sugar gliders, they'll like rip their own intestines out rather than live alone.
Yeah. Well, a bit of an extra fact. I didn't realize that hamsters are cannibals, but cannibals to a point where they will eat their own children. And they're like, if you go on Reddit about people like looking after hamsters and stuff, the amount of times that people are talking about like, why had I had two hamsters in a cage, one of them is gone and the other hamster is fat. Whereas like, what's happened to my other hamster?
You know, I knew hamsters ate their own children, but it never like clocked in my head that meant they were cannibals. Like it just it didn't connect the dots.
It's natural. It's natural.
Because I think it was from Reddit that I also learned it, but I think it was like this guy was like looking after someone else's hamster, and it had just had like babies, and like while they're looking after the hamster and its new babies, they all like got eaten.
That's on the owners of that hamster though, because what kind of people would leave their go on holiday while their hamster's having a baby?
Yeah, you got to really think of your hamster in times like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to be there to support it.
Like,
it's probably stressed, and that's why it ate the children.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, on to our next wheel. Topic wheel number 2. We'll get through this quickly because we don't want obviously the podcast to go on for too long for some people. But let's spin the wheel once again. And the wheel says movie club. So,
okay.
Like book club, we have a movie that we've watched recently, and we talk about it.
So, the only movie I've watched recently, and I watched it with you, was Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar 2, yes.
And I have opinions. You have opinions. There are opinions.
Oh, this is probably like a hot take for me. So, yeah, you go.
I'm just going to put it out there, right? When we started making movies like 3 hours long, was a great step backwards in humanity. Like, why do movies need to be that long?
Because it's fun.
But I've heard as well that the like director's cut or something they're going to release, and it's going to be like 9 hours. I don't know if that's just like rumors and stuff. But I was talking to someone today, and I was like how there's no way that someone's going to go to like the cinema and watch a 9-hour movie, so they'd have to do it in two parts. And I went, there's no way you could do that. And then I sat there and thought, wait a minute, actually, you could do that movie in two parts because the first half really had very little to do with the next half.
That's true. I agree with you there. Also, like a 9-hour film, yeah, I'm going honest, like that would be like dead. Also, like, but surely they couldn't have done all the VFX, spent all the VFX on 9 hours of, you know, surely not. That'd be
Yeah,
too.
actually, when you put it like that, like when it took them, what, 10 years or something to make.
Yeah, it's like also the money as well that would like it would cost to make that. I mean, I imagine like they would. I wouldn't be surprised if they did like a box cut when all the films are out, where it is like 13 hours, 14 hours long, where it's all the films back to back. Like, yeah, that would be uh something. I mean, I think is I don't disagree on people's opinions of Avatar. Um, so from people to give people some context, the one thing I like about Avatar is its world building and like its universe that's based in and stuff, and like the amount of detail they go into about like the biology and stuff and the tribes and things. Um, this is how I rank Avatar. Overall, I think the movie is like a 6.5 out of 10. Right, but I think the first hour for me, or like, okay, I wouldn't even say first hour. The first half an hour for me was an 8 out of 10. I thought the first half an hour was great. Like the humans coming back and it's like, oh fuck. And then like, you know, it's like they're doing like guerrilla war tactics and stuff like that. I kind of wanted more of that stuff.
Yeah, like the guerrilla warfare and stuff was like great action sci-fi movie stuff, but the show does like one little insurgent fight that they did where they blew up some train tracks.
Yeah.
And that scene took less than like what, 5 minutes maybe max.
Yeah, it was almost like it was used to establish that like that he's teaching his sons like that to be like military, like he's raising his children like a military commander or whatever, and then like it's like it's just there to set up like the relationship between Jake Sully and his kids.
Yeah, but it's like that was such a good premise of like you've got rebel fighters going on and
yeah,
like they are really like making it difficult for the humans that have come over. Like, well, that's what we're meant to believe, but we only see that one thing, and then there is never another.
The way I thought they were gonna do it, and I think this actually could have been an improvement on the movie, and I think it would have been a much better movie if they did this. If you know how like they spent a lot of time on the main villain, you know, being back as an avatar and stuff. Spoilers to anyone who's watching, by the way. But I don't think you would really care. But like they spend like a lot of time on the avatars. I would have done it where the film was them trying to plan out like a really sophisticated and like because they like, for example, they keep getting like espionage and like guerrilla attacks and stuff like that, and then like these guys are brought in and they're like, you need to take out this group of Na'vi, and so like they go in and the film, like kind of like Avengers Infinity War, have the film mostly based on the villains and like maybe the psychology of them being knowing and like trying to deal with the fact that they're clones, and then also like then having the whole film like where it's mostly about them trying to break the Na'vi down. And so then at the end, and here's the thing, they're making 5 of these films. They could have ended this film like it was a bad thing for the Na'vi. Like they could have ended this film any way they wanted to because it wouldn't be the end. There's like other films coming out. So I would have thought, I was expecting the ending to be kind of like the same as like the second Hobbit film where the dragon gets released and the town's being burnt and destroyed, because everybody's like, oh fuck, but you gotta watch the next movie before it. For me, this film, like the movie ends and it's like, well, if you wanted to, you don't have to or not be interested in to go and see the third film, because there's no like there's no push to go and see the third film. Like I feel like
there's nothing that's not tied up and concluded other than like the humans, I guess, is still there.
Yeah, but like it's just like there's no it doesn't feel like there's an expanding universe. Like they're not. I know everybody's like getting tired of the Marvel universe and stuff, but there's like an interesting thing you can do with that. And I felt like maybe doing like a movie where it's actually from the humans' perspective. What I am looking forward to though is James Cameron did confirm that in the third film they're going to look at like the negative sides of the Na'vi, which I think is a great idea because I think the problem with these films is they're so like black and white that it's like good guy, bad guy, where it's obvious like we know that the humans are bad in these films, and I don't think anyone's trying to like not say that that's the case, but I think what they aren't showing is that it's exactly the same with the colonizations of America, where certain tribes did certain bad things for the benefit of their tribe, kind of thing. And it's like it gives and adds an extra layer of like more realism, and not so much like, oh, it's easy to tell who the good guy is. Like, I want a film that's sophisticated, and I don't think the first Avatar film and this Avatar film are sophisticated in storytelling. The universe is sophisticated as hell, and I love it. That's what I love about these films. But the story itself is not that sophisticated.
Yeah,
It suffers
I
from
think
go on, sorry.
I was gonna say, like, for such a long movie as well, there was so many like different elements of the movie that it just didn't properly explore. Like, it referenced, but it didn't explore. So, like, how one of the clones technically has a son that has been raised by the Na'vi, and they're like, sure that this clone like does actually care about their son, even though it's not their real son. But they don't really explore that relationship. They just have this like, oh well, of course he's going to care because he is actually the dad.
Yeah.
Instead of like going into like more detail on how sort of they build a relationship, because it's like it never really explains it or shows why they would feel that way.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what I find annoying is that it wouldn't have been even hard to write that, because there are like projects like things like Fallout 4 or what was the other one I was thinking of a second ago? Like Blade Runner, or other like projects where like it's you have this like philosophical question of like, am I real when it comes to like clones and robots and stuff? Like,
yeah.
Like you could, and this is like I do feel like I feel the problem is if they've written these films out already, and like they say they already filmed 90% of the third film, which blows my mind because you do not know what the reception of the second film is. Like, you don't know what you could improve on, and and this worries me a bit. And luckily they haven't filmed like the fourth and fifth film, I don't think, at the moment, so I'm happy about that because they can actually improve on the complaints of this film. But like, my thing would be like, go more into depth of like the psychological like mess ups that has on the villain. Like, I know you're not supposed to like the villain, but everybody likes to sort of like get into the mind of the villain and understand why he's doing these things. And we can tell they're hinting at like the clone, he's actually kind of like you said, caring for his son and stuff. But like, maybe he has to deal with the fact that he's a clone, like he's not the actual original. Like, there's just so many things, and what annoys me is that the fucking the Sullys, I guess you can call them, because it's like Jake Sully's in his family, so it's the Sullys. Like, the Sullys are like the most boring part of the film. Now, just to let everybody know, I'm gonna say some spoilers here, so if you don't want to have any spoilers, turn off right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. When the older son dies in that film, that would have been so much more impactful if they spent more screen time on him than his other son. 100%. And then the next film could be about his other son. But they made this film about his younger son, which didn't matter because he was always going to live, because it's like the most basic form of filmmaking.
I also think that like that I get they had different personalities, the two sons, but that they didn't feel like different characters. They almost felt like two dimensions of the same character.
Yeah.
And
It was almost a bit too simple. Like, oh, he's the younger one, so he fucks around and stuff, and then like the older one is like the more mature one and like does things properly and stuff. It's just like the most like easy ABC like form of writing a character or like a relationship between a character. And yeah.
yeah, there was like nothing in that movie at all that makes you like think about what's going on, which is really disappointing, I guess. Like, I like easy watching movies, but when a movie's 3 hours, it's not going to be easy watching,
Yeah, I thought
right?
they could just take out the middle.
So you want people to like think about what's happening and sort of question what's going on and why things are happening. But it's always just like you could go and like, I don't know, you could go get food in the middle of the movie
Yeah.
and
Oh,
come back having missed like 20 minutes of it.
I regret not getting
And
more popcorn halfway through the film. I swear.
yeah, but you could just like go for 20 minutes, come back, and sort of like work it out just based on like, oh, what's the first thing that comes to your head when this happens? Like, so when, like, let's say you left as they were still in the mountains, and you come back, and they're in like the ocean world, and you go, oh, they left because they didn't want to they didn't want to get like their tribe killed.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
the most
it explains.
basic
Yeah.
thing. Like, there's nothing that's thinking about it, and there's like no reason for them to do that because they've gone over this like idea, right, as well, that the humans are evil in this movie, and that they're going to kill everyone, every Navi that they need to get rid of Jake Sully, right?
Hmm.
So, and Jake Sully, they know where his tribe is. It's hidden in the mountains, and then as soon as Jake Sully finds out that the noise there, he dips and he goes somewhere else. For the humans to find out that he's gone somewhere else, they have to go into the mountains,
And yeah.
and there is no way that they're not going to torture or kill the Navi that are in the mountains to try and figure out where Jake Sully is. They're
Yeah.
not just going to be like, oh, he's not here, and you were a part of his insurgent group, but now he's not here anymore, so
But
you guys are chill with us.
my understanding as well was that they it shows you like it's been like a year after humans arrived, and they showed like the idea that they're like how they're hiding, like you said, in the mountains and like these like caves and stuff. And it's like when they find out where the like where they are in the, well, not they don't even find out where they are, they just find out like they know where like the rough area they are. But why don't they just move like they did before instead of having Jake have to leave? Because it feels like there's no reason for him. I don't see the difference where like, because he feels guilty that he's gonna bring like death to this tribe, so he leaves. But it's like, did you not feel guilty when the humans came back in the first place? Like, this could have been an issue at any point, but you've only had to make an issue now. Like, it's a shame though, because that first like 10 minutes of the film, I was like, oh shit, this is good. Like, no lie, like when you know, I'm thinking of the scene and like you remember it, but like the when they're like hanging, like it's just showing like the childhood of the children and like them being married and stuff and having a family, and then like I thought the scene was so cool, was when like they're all laying down and like the thing, and then they see the star, when they're like, oh yeah, dad's from that star, and then they see like a second star, and he's like, that's not supposed to be there, and then it's like, from the first film, obviously you've had those like giant transport ships for humans and stuff, and you think, oh, that's a big like colony ship or whatever, and then there's like 10 of them, 15 of them, like just all like coming at once. It's like, holy shit, this is amazing. And like the ships land on the planet and like the robot suits all come out blazing, and then you're like, holy shit, this is like fucking sick. And then it just none of that actually really feel like. The problem is that they show at the beginning that the humans are there for like to be, they have bit like they're not fucking around now. We're invading this planet. Like, we're not trying to be nice, we're invading.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think,
the rest of the movie doesn't show that at all.
yeah, because like I think about it, and I think Star Wars: The Force Awakens did that better. Like
Mm,
where they have the ships come down on Jakku or wherever, and there's a little village there, and it shows just how evil the New Order is, or the First Order, or whatever it's called.
yeah.
And it like they are rounding up innocent people, killing innocent people as it goes, and
Mm,
then they get them all into a line. They're executing them.
mm-hmm.
That's a movie that's much shorter than Avatar. Like,
It
not a brilliant movie by any means. It was an alright movie.
was my
But it
favorite
did
of the new
that, like,
trilogy.
yeah, they did that, like, these people are genuinely evil much better than Avatar did. And Avatar want you to, like, believe that the humans are, like, very, like, the epitome of evil in this world.
Yeah. That's the thing, like the beginning, like I was saying, like when they land on the planet and they start like burning down and torching the jungle and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like the only thing you're seeing is the animals, and I was thinking to myself, like, wouldn't it be more impactful if it's like the Navi are like getting absolutely purged and like it's a year, it's they've been there for a year, like they could, I wanted to see like the worst of humanity in this film. Like as in like I wanted to see like the humans like enraged. Like you kicked us off this fucking planet. Like and like here's the thing, like I thought they set it up at the beginning like perfectly. Like when the humans are like with the ships and stuff. I was like I always thought to myself at the end of the first Avatar film, like the humans spent like trillions of dollars on this fucking moon, like this moon of this gas planet. They're not just going to not come back. Like they are going to come back, and they're going to now not. You know, like in the first film, it has like loads of lore about like they came there, and it's like the same with the Native Americans. They kind of like tried to like communicate and be nice and like give them schools and educate them and teach them English. And then like in this film, it's like no, we're gonna we're you're here to fuck shit up, and that's what I liked. But then like you get it's like a year later, and it's like okay,
Yeah,
you
they
but
just skip it all completely.
yeah, and it's like you could have done. I feel like Way of Water you could do as a third film. I was like in the second film it should have just been them blowing shit up, like
Yeah, it's The Empire Strikes Back. It's
yeah,
they are
exactly,
coming back, but they didn't do it like that, and it doesn't really make sense.
exactly that. Um, but yeah, like I think the middle act where like when it's all like I don't mind when they go to the water tribe. I don't mind that. I think it was like a cool concept, like going to water tribes that have no contact with jungle tribes. However, it's like as soon as they start teaching them like how, the way they do their waters, I was like, okay, I'm not interested in this film anymore. And then like that lasted like 2 hours, and that part of the movie I give like 3 out of 10. And then
Yeah,
like the ending, I would give like the ending act, like the final part where he like the ship blows up and he's like going in to like take on the Avatar. He, I would give it like maybe a 6 out of 10. So it's like the whole film to me is just average, which is a shame because I feel it's like the first couple of scenes were just really good.
yeah. There was a few scenes like throughout it all that were really good, and like the scenery, like in certain places, looked amazing, but it just
Mm.
like let itself down with being so basic and just
Mm.
any sort of interesting idea that they have, they skip it. So they skip over letting the clone and the son build a relationship and just sort of go with, oh well, they are actually technically related, so of course they're going to save each other.
Yeah.
There's no reason why they would, because throughout the whole movie they've hated each other, but you know that. Of course, it'll happen because they're related. That happens. Like when they go to the water tribe, and you could have like all of this, like you know, actual struggle, and maybe like with Sully, the like sort of struggle of knowing that he's bringing death to this water tribe, but instead they're just like, no, it's sort of like an adolescent film where it's all the teenagers are like struggling to fit in a new school. Basically, is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
oh, the two boys are getting in trouble with the local popular kids at the new school that they've gone to, is basically how it works,
Mm.
and it's so disappointing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it. Don't get me wrong; it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but it was just not. not amazing,
Yeah.
and it should have been at least like good enough for me to recommend.
Yeah. However, you want to know my hot take?
Yeah.
I think I've already said it to you, but to people listening, I preferred it to Top Gun.
I've
And
still not seen Top Gun.
I know you. Yeah, the only reason why I say I prefer it to Top Gun is this movie has more depth, and that's saying a lot because it doesn't have a lot of depth. This movie, but it has more depth than Top Gun because Top Gun is literally just, oh, you used to be the best pilot. We need you back to teach these younglings like how to pilot. And like the mission, like we got this mission. It's almost impossible, but you could do it. And it's like the most generic. But the only reason I feel like it's got because it's got like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, which like fucking blows my mind. But like the only reason why people love it so much is because all the jet scenes, or like, well, not all of them, but like the shots of them in the cockpits and stuff are all real.
Yeah.
And so it looks really good on like IMAX cameras and stuff. And I think people saw that were like, oh, like this movie's amazing, but it's like the plot is so stupid. The genuine the only reason why I say like I like Avatar more because it has more at least it has character depth in some aspects of it. Like there's potential in Avatar, but with Top Gun there's no potential. It's a one-off movie and it's like the most basic generic thing I've ever seen.
Actually, if there is one other criticism I have with Avatar while we're on it still, is that the CG in some of the movie, like especially when it comes to like close-ups of Na'vi people,
Mm.
it can like it took me out a bit, like it broke my immersion because they didn't look like this fit in every single scene, especially in the close-ups. And maybe it was more so like early on in the movie when they were still in the jungle, but there was just something that didn't feel right with the CG there.
I was the same. I felt like there were some shots I was like, oh god, like this doesn't look great kind of thing, like compared to like 2009. But then there were other shots where I was like, holy shit, this is like the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like it was like a hit or miss with the whole film. Like there was like the bits of the whales and stuff. I was like, this isn't like I can't really look at it and go, this is amazing. But then there's like shots where I think there was like a shot where when they're fighting in the end, and it was like the fire. I was like looking because I'm like a VFX artist, so I look at all these things. And there's a shot where like he's like looking around in like where it's fire and stuff and water, and it was just like the way that like the entire shot was CG, but it was just like the fire reflecting off his face to like the lighting in his eyes to like you could see the hairs on his arm compared to like the light and the fire in the background. I was like, motherfucker, this is like, there's some good VFX in it. Like,
yeah, there were parts that were really good. It was just some of the close-ups like really took me out of it.
Yeah. Well, to change movies, I'll be quick with this because we spent a long time talking about Avatar too. But I'm sure I've got to watch the new Puss in Boots film, because apparently it's really good.
Is there a new one?
Yeah, it's just come out, and apparently people are saying it's amazing.
I watched the first Puss in Boots film years ago, and I never thought they'd make a sequel.
Yeah, I didn't think as well. I didn't think it was that good, but like apparently, because it's like a different animation. Well, it's the same. It's DreamWorks, but it's a different animation studio, I think, who are doing it, and like so the art style is a bit different. But apparently, people have said it is like the best Shrek film, or like Shrek universe film. Like people have said it's like really. It's got like, I'm pretty sure like every YouTuber I watch who would like talk about animated films say it's like, amazing. So I need to watch that this week at some point before it goes out.
I'd be down to watch that.
Yeah. I do. We'll do that. We'll do a review next week on it. But the film I actually wanted to talk about is a film I watched on Netflix. It came out, and I don't think you've watched it, but I think you would very much like it. It came out in January last year. So it's not like too long ago.
Okay.
It's on Netflix. It's called The House.
The House.
The House, yes, and it's an animated film. But when I mean animated, it's all like stop motion, right? And it's 3 separate stories, right? Different, and each story is a different animation style. So kind of somewhat like, I guess, Love, Death, Robots, I guess. You know.
Oh yeah.
But there's 3 stories only, and each story is based around the same house, and it's like a different situation that happens in this house. Now, the reason why I think I'm not going to spoil anything to you But the whole movie is essentially, because I do recommend it. The whole film is about like everybody's trying to do something with this house. They're trying to like furnish it for people. They're trying to like make it into their dream home, to potentially rent it out. And the whole thing of the house is like it's no matter how much these people do with this house, it's never enough, or it ends up hurting them in the long end. And the metaphorical sense of the film, like I was like, I have to look up what I think that, like what the film is about, and like the whole film is like somewhat of a metaphorical sense of like why it's I don't want to get political in the podcast, obviously, but it's like why capitalism has like its flaws and stuff, in a sense that like everyone is like putting their life and soul and everything into this house, but when they like try to do that, they lose their humanity. But
What? Art criticizing capitalism? No way. It never does that.
But it's just a very good film in a sense that like it's all different animation styles, so it's always somewhat like each story is like unique, and they're all very like cleverly written and like very like uniquely done. And it's on Netflix, so if you got a Netflix account, you can just watch it right now. I 100% recommend it.
I will probably watch it because while you were talking about it, I did a little look up and I saw the best thing in the world, Jacob. Do you know what that is?
What?
Running time, 97 minutes.
Yeah,
That is,
not
Up.
3 hours.
I realized something.
Yeah. What's funny though is like when you look on IMDb, it's got like a 6.8, but you go on to Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 97%. Just saying. Well, it's got a 75% audience score, but it's very good. I thought it was very good.
I will watch it.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've done through that topic wheel. We've talked about movies, and we'll try and see if Puss in Boots this week at some point, and let you know what we think about it. Okay, let's get through this quickly. Person of the week. Who do we think is person of the week? And just to clarify, person of the week doesn't mean the best person of the week. It just means like the person who's like the most relevant person in the week.
Most relevant person this week. I don't know. No one's popping out. Like, there is Prince Harry, of course.
He's released his book, and he
released his book, and lots of people don't like it. I really don't care. Like, that's so many people keep complaining to me about, oh, I thought they wanted to be out of the media's attention, and now they're releasing a book and they're doing Netflix special. And it's like, if you don't care, like if you don't want to see them, you just don't have to.
Yeah, I don't really mind what if he wants to write. I think anybody has the right to write a book about themselves or whatever they feel like. What I only thing I would like I feel bad for, because I didn't actually ever feel bad for him before, but he was on the Colbert show, which, my God, if you're on the Colbert show, you're in a very dark place in your life. Yeah, and they were just like making fun of him, and like kind of like, I don't know, he's trying to explain like his, like, for example, like obviously the book is telling him in his story about the royal family and stuff, which is like not an easy thing to do just in general. And he's on the Colbert show, and he's like making fun of, it's like, oh, you're like, essentially all the jokes were like, you're a posh twat, you like, you can hang out with your like colonial possessions and stuff, like all making these like weird jokes. And the guy's like, look, man, I left the royal family like to get away from all that. I'm just like talking about like the depression I've had to like deal with like the media like following me and like having to say goodbye to my family and shit. Like, it was just like so, they're all like, I'm like,
I've just realized I know a conspiracy. Well, not know, but I've heard a conspiracy theory about Prince Harry recently.
I bet I know which one it is. Is it that his dad isn't Charles?
Well, okay, no, I know that one.
Yeah.
But a more recent one, related to his book, So in his book, he says that like he talks about the Taliban he killed or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and the Taliban in Afghanistan have said that they want him to like go to trial for murder. And the conspiracy theorist that I heard about was people were saying that he wrote about this in the book so that he would then become a target of the Taliban so that he could get security that he's no longer entitled to from the royal
Oh
family.
shit! That is some big brain like.
Like I don't know if like he's actually smart enough to do that,
But I would do that though.
like that is some big brain stuff
That is
if
some.
that's true.
I mean,
I don't know, but I like the idea that
I don't think they're like. What I find weird about that is I don't think they're legally allowed. Like even the Taliban are legally allowed to do that because the idea when we signed the peace and all that and like left was that okay, we fucked each other up like on both sides, and now we're just gonna stop it completely. And then like I think that was like the
yeah, I don't think anything would hold up. It's like
yeah
unless he like literally committed war crimes,
yeah
which he didn't admit to in his book, as far as I'm aware, then it's like soldier killed soldiers.
yeah
That is unfortunately war, and
yeah.
the yeah, like
I mean, I when I speak to American people and they're kind of like joking at the fact that we still like princes and stuff. I'm like, yeah, we do, and it's kind of weird how we do have them, but at the same time, it's like I don't, and don't get me wrong, sure, some presidents have served in the military and done service and fought wars and stuff. It's like, but I don't see like all your presidents, going into military service and actually like fighting and doing things and you know they could just be lazy and sit around and do nothing and take as much money as they want and things like that. But it's like William and Harry both like the military service, and
I think I have more respect for the Queen than I do for like William and Harry, because the Queen during World War II was driving ambulances and stuff,
yeah.
and I see that as like actual like required work, like doing a part. Whereas like, especially with like Harry,
I was gonna say,
he described going to like Afghanistan as like better than Call of Duty or something, and it's like that's a bit fucked.
I was gonna say I respect William more because he was a medical, so like essentially ambulance helicopter, and he did actually go and save like not just like special people or anything. Like he like if somebody was out at sea and they like went overboard and stuff, he went out there and people have said like William was like rescuing me, like he was doing like medical work and stuff. So like yeah, that's like for me as well. Like when people say about the royal family, it's like for me it's like yeah, Queen because fun fact, actually another fun fact of the week. Well, it's not for this week. I've known this fact for a while, but when the Saudi king at the time visited the Queen, she took him out in her Land Cruiser, or well, not Land Cruiser, Land Rover.
Because women weren't allowed to drive.
Yeah. Which was only a thing recently they stopped doing. But she drove purposely crazy because she's a really good driver. She drove purposely crazy to like freak him out, and so he was like freaking out like in the car, and she's just like having a normal conversation with him while driving, and he was like, "What the fuck?" Like, it's just like to make fun of him. But it's like yeah, I have like respect for the Queen, well, our late Queen, and like respect for William because I also have like respect for Diana. But
I like Diana.
Yeah,
like that is the one that everybody I like. Yeah, everyone else I don't care about.
Everybody like because the thing about Diana was like I think it was the first time where like the royal family were like a normal person. I wouldn't say normal person because she was still like quite upper class, but at the same time she wasn't like a royal member, so she was like a part of
down to earth.
Yeah, it's just down to earth, and like that was the thing. I think like that's come off as William, so I have a lot of respect for William. I feel like Harry has always. I feel bad for Harry in the sense I feel like he's always been the odd kid out and has always been like under scrutinization, under like the theory of like he's not actually Diana's son and things like
Yeah.
that. Like that's kind of mess up. I think the problem is like when you I feel like what the problem with Meghan and Harry is they expect too much from the public, as in they expect people to just automatically be like, "Oh, I feel so bad for you because all these terrible things happened to you with the royal family." While in reality, people go, "We know the royal family are like fucked up, right? And you guys whining about it isn't gonna help us because we know like we're living in shittier situations than you. So how could you expect us to understand your position? Like you expect too much of us. You expect us to like understand your situation. We can't because we
Yeah.
are living in a completely different level of society. No matter like without your security, without the royal funds, without all these things that you guys get benefits from being in the royal family, you still will live a much better life than the majority of us. So how could you ever expect us to understand? And then they cry about it. They cry like nobody understands. And it's like, well, of course we don't, because we don't live in that lifestyle.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like vitriol from like both sides of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just sort of like it's very tabloidy, it's very trashy, and
It's a massive like spludge of grays and like there's no like I don't think there's a good person out of this. I just think there was just a lot of shitty things that happened on both sides. Like it was.
okay. So does that mean we're not giving Person of the Week to Harry?
No, the only reason I wouldn't give Person of the Week to Harry is one, I don't think he's been on every single. I don't know. I don't think not everybody has like cared or heard about him this week. Like this, because like I said, Person of the Week is like somebody who's had a massive impact on this week's news articles or whatever they did or something like that. Like something they did. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think anyone has tweeted at me or posted at me about Harry or talked to me about Harry. So I don't say he would be the number one. But I would say, funnily enough, and I don't want to put him as Person of the Week, but Andrew Tate has been more the news this week. However, he was more actually last week and not this week.
Well, if you want to go with this week, I've seen a lot of stuff about Ryan Reynolds because obviously Wrexham, but most of my news is football related, and Wrexham won the beat Coventry in the FA Cup. So maybe Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, they can be person or peoples of the week.
Personal people's Ryan Reynolds, interesting. I mean, from what I've seen of people, of what's like what people are doing this week, I don't know. It's a hard one because Andrew Tate was last week's news. But he's still being in the news
I would
because
never feel right about giving him person
in the
of the
week.
week.
I mean, like I said, it's like the Times magazine where it's like Person of the Year. It's like Hitler being Persons of the Year because he had the biggest impact on like the world and stuff. I think like when it comes to people like that, or like not like Hitler, but like people who like had an impact on the world, or like people who everybody's heard about. I don't know. Like I had somebody in mind, but it's completely lost my mind. I'm just gonna type in like news to see if like it'll hit me. I know the girl who plays Wednesday is like everywhere on the news right now.
Yeah, I've not even seen Wednesday yet, and like my TikTok and that is just full of like things about her and
Yeah,
Wednesday. To be fair, like the show.
and I'm sure it's a good show. I need to watch it. It's Tim Burton.
I'm gonna watch it, which is exciting because I don't watch TV.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I'm trying to think of like Person of the Week. Come on, there's got to be somebody on. That's I'm trying to find any excuse that it's not Andrew Tate. That's what I'm trying to do here.
It cannot be Andrew Tate.
You know what? Like, it will probably have to be. Okay, I think about what happened. What's happened this week in news?
Logan Paul. I'd rather give it to him.
Yeah, but the scamming was like 2 weeks ago. SpaceX, but no. UN says Putin, UK says blah blah blah.
Oh, we're not giving it to
No.
Putin.
Okay. What's the actress's name? Wednesday actress. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. I haven't watched the show yet. The actress for Wednesday is Jenna Ortega. Am I saying that right? If I fucked that up?
Jenna Ortega.
Jenna Ortega.
Maybe. It could be either. I don't really know.
Jenna Ortega.
But she's 20. I thought she was younger than that.
I thought that as well. I thought she was illegal and people were like making fun of it, but no, she is 20.
I thought she was like 16 or something.
She's from California. Oh God, no.
From Coachella. That's pretty pog.
Nah, I mean we're British, so she's an Iron Man 3. She was the vice president's daughter in Iron Man 3, like the disabled girl with the missing leg.
Have you ever seen Spy Kids?
Yeah.
I only like figured out for the first time that the president's daughter in Spy Kids was Emily Osment.
Yeah.
I didn't fucking.
Do you remember that the president was George Clooney?
Yeah.
That movie had a great cast. I need to watch those movies again. She was in. No, she was in. Was she? Oh, she was like a lot. Like she's actually got like a really big career, but she just like isn't in any. She's never played a character that's like, massive.
Until now.
You know what's weird though? You know what I find crazy? Is when you see an actor, or like a famous star, who's like completely legal, essentially can drink. Well, she's not there exactly yet, but she will be soon and stuff like that. All that stuff, right? And you're older than her, like, or older than like, as in like I'm looking at her date of birth, born September 27th, 2002. That blows my fucking mind.
You shouldn't be 20 and have a 2000 and in your name.
Yeah,
come on.
Like don't get me wrong, I'm born in the year 2000. I know how weird it is for people to like hear that, but it's like,
God, imagine not being alive in the 90s.
Barely like a month, like 5 days.
At least double that. Come on.
2 weeks, okay. 2 weeks in the 90s, but it's like it's just weird to hear like people like okay, like for example, okay, she's person of the week. She's one person of the week because that's all I only see her on my newsfeed at the moment, right? So I'm happy to give it to her, and she deserves it. She apparently did a really good job in Wednesday, and you know that's hard to do when you're 20, but it's just like insane.
More than I've done.
But yeah, exactly. But it's just insane that people that are. So she would be what? Like when we were in year 13, she would have been in year 11, right? Yeah, year 11.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so weird.
But it's like Erling Haaland's one of those. Like we're older than Erling Haaland, you know.
Erling what? Who?
Haaland.
I don't think I know her.
The footballer from Man City.
Oh.
Haaland.
I'm gonna sound like really prejudiced here and horrible. I only watched the women's national team. I'm sorry.
I was talking to your dad about it.
Oh, you don't shh. We don't talk about what my dad has to say about women's football.
No, about Erling Haaland men's football.
Oh, okay.
You know Erling Haaland.
I don't.
You do. You do.
Erling
Haaland. Premier League top goal scorer right now.
Oh yeah, the Norwegian guy. Yeah. No, well you're saying Haaland. I would pronounce it Haaland.
Well,
that sounds like bad for me because I know people pronounce it like Haaland, but like it's like Haaland. If I spoke to him right now, he'd be like, "Oh, my name is." He'd be like, "My name is Erling Haaland."
Everling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Haaland.
He's younger than us,
Yeah, he's younger than us.
and he's like one of the best football players, probably if not the best football player alive right now.
Yeah.
Which is it funny how like a Norwegian is the best player in the world right now?
I'd say he's English because he was born in Leeds.
Was he actually?
Yeah.
He looks very Norwegian though.
Yeah, he's Norwegian, but he's born in Leeds.
He's just very. I saw like a compilation of him. He scored like 7 goals in one game, like just by himself.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks he's a robot, apparently, like a cyborg.
No, but his dad was a footballer, you see. And his
Ah.
dad played for Leeds and had him. So he's English.
Okay. Well. Yeah, well, at least, we can now decide or agree that Miss Jenna Ortega, you are the person of the week. Congratulations. I hope you're watching, but you're probably not.
Your biggest accolade.
Yeah. Never watched your show before, but I do remember you in Iron Man 3. So I hope you appreciate it.
To be fair, I think while I was looking her up, she was in one of my favorite trashy movies, The Babysitter Killer Queen. So
Also, she's wearing this red carpet dress that says "shook" on it, and it's like in she was in Spider-Man? No, fuck off. I don't see that on our Wikipedia page. You know what? I'm not gonna keep looking into this because I feel weird like looking into her life because it's like, why should I? But
yeah,
she was in Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, which I haven't watched, but my sister watches that show, so she was in that show, which is nuts.
yeah. She's everywhere.
She is everywhere. I
Well
thought she was in a Fallout game for a second, but the show was called The Fallout, so it's not the same. But yeah, no, congratulations on being person of the week. Can't wait to Andrew Tate to win next week's person.
No, I will look at the news to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we should probably get this done quickly because we are already 2 hours into this podcast. Yeah. But we will quickly just do the last topic wheel. And last topic wheel. Let's do it one more time, baby. What's the context? Hell yes. This is great. This will be quick.
Okay, you were excited for this one. This is the one I had no prep for.
Yeah, no, this is like based on your entirely like general reaction of whatever I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Okay. I need to quickly like find it. It's a really good image.
A good image.
I
I only like bad images.
Oh, where is it? I can't find it. Cursed. I mean, as you carry on, who would you put as person of the week?
Well, in my little like football world bubble, it's Chuba Akpom's got to be up there. Amazing footballer. Right, I'd probably give it to Ryan Reynolds and McElhenney because, yeah, Wrexham are doing all right.
Yeah. Okay, I found the image. Okay. What is happening here?
Let me see. Oh, God.
Explain. I don't understand.
This is like Snow White and the deleted scenes.
This is how I imagine being famous is like. Like how
They're all
puff
taxidermy animals, right?
are they?
Yeah.
How do you know?
That's the squirrel's definitely taxidermy, the deer's definitely taxidermy, and then I'm using extrapolation to say the birds are taxidermy.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, the guy could be taxidermy.
No, the guy was fucking him
What I don't get is like, I don't want to get is like he's got like camouflage bedding.
because he's a hunter. Oh, that's it, right?
He's
He's hunted these animals, and he's so proud of them that he was fucking the taxidermy animals.
Yeah, but the thing is, a deer looks like it's one of those just like head ones. So is he just like, you know what? I think we're looking way too into this. But I like what I think. I actually have a feeling that the duck is real. Oh yeah. Do you know about that porn star that has a pet duck?
No.
There's a guy. He was on TikTok. He's really funny. I don't watch TikToks, but he was. He's like the guy who's like he brings the pet duck around his house and stuff, and his mom like keeps screaming at him for having a pet duck.
Oh, I think I've seen someone that has like a pet duck.
Yeah, he's like a guy who's like he's like stacked, and then like he just carries a pet duck with him everywhere.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, there was like a video where like he pays he because all the money he made on OnlyFans and stuff, he pays for his like sister's tuition and things like that. And then his mom starts like screaming at him for bringing the duck in the house.
I I I quite I quite like ducks. I think ducks are cool, but I was with you, wasn't I, when someone was like, "Oh, my sister or brother or something got a duck," and then we were like, "What? No way!" And then they called them up, and they were like, "The duck died."
Oh, where was that? I know what you
That was,
mean. Is that when we're in the UK?
yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, I remember that. You know, like they called him up. Oh, where? What? Oh man, my brain. I need to. We need to research this after the podcast because we're gonna spend
Yeah,
too much time trying to work out where that was. Um,
I
yeah.
think we were at that bar that had the ping pong table
Which bar of the ping pong table?
in Brighton.
Oh. Um.
The stupidly expensive one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I
no.
think we were like sat outside there.
Mm, yeah, I remember that one. Um. Okay. Now let's go on to the little last Q&A, just so we can tie this up to a nice. I don't know how long we've been recording for, but over 2 hours for sure. And so we got a question from my boy Vernier, who, if you don't know, is number one fan of Sir Swag, so much so that we keep him as a little pet. He said, if you could go and learn anything in 24 hours, what would it be and why? I actually give this question to you, and then I'll also answer as well.
If I could learn anything in 24 hours and like it didn't take, it's like, here's the thing: if it takes the effort, then I would probably just go for like something like golf, something that I enjoy doing. But if this learning it in 24 hours takes away the effort from it and the hard work, and you just like learn it in 24 hours, then I'd probably learn to code.
Make that dollar.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's
Like,
the same with me. That's a good question. Like, is it like you have to put the effort in or not put the effort in? And I think if I have to put the effort in, but I could do it in 24 hours, then I'd probably like learn a language. But if it was like no effort at all, then I'll probably like learn to become like the greatest artist of our generation.
That's fair. I could learn to paint.
Yeah. Next question is, what would be your top 3 ice cream flavors? This person obviously wants to know the inner workings of Krusty. I'm a basic bitch, so I like vanilla as my number
I
one.
think vanilla is up there. Vanilla is a good flavor.
I was gonna say
People
there's
who
not
don't like it are dumb.
there's nothing else really that is vanilla flavored except ice cream.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
You don't really have like vanilla's like a smell for most things,
yeah.
so it's just
It's
weird.
just like a little added thing, like in cookies. It's like you get chocolate chip cookies, but you add vanilla to it.
Yeah. I mean, so my second flavor is the Ben and Jerry's cookie dough, which I think is just beautiful. And I think, do sorbets count as ice creams?
I think they can do.
Yeah, like a raspberry sorbet, I would say, like is like my number 3.
Okay, I would go for like either a Haagen-Dazs or like Baskin Robbins, like chocolate brownie ice cream. I like them.
Mm.
I like vanilla, but then my favorite ice cream is the and it's weird because it's actually vegan, but my favorite ice cream is the Ben and Jerry's like vegan. It's not coconut flavored, but it's made out of coconut milk. I think it's like caramel swirl.
Ooh.
I think that's my favorite one just because like the slight coconut flavor like really adds a lot to it.
Mm. Yeah. No, I mean that sounds tasty. Actually, I want to try that. I'm not a big caramel person, but I tend to find caramel works sometimes in specific situations.
Yeah, it's like weird because it's like I don't really eat that much caramel and I don't like coconut, but this one particular combination I just think is goated.
Mm. Now, Tim, who's a friend of mine, is asked on my Twitter feed, and this is like a really nerdy airplane question. So if you don't understand the context, don't worry. I will try my best to answer it. And this is like more relevant because we've had conversations about this before. He goes, "Why do you like the A340 so much? What's your favorite airliner and why?" Now, yeah, that's another hot take I have. So if you don't know, here in the context is that the A340 was a stopgap aircraft, which means that they only made it to like stop people waiting too long for another aircraft. And
Okay.
it was you will recognize an A340. It's essentially the long like single deck aircraft but with 4 engines.
Yeah, I went and Googled it and it is the Long Boy.
Yeah, the Long Boy, yeah. And that's why I love it so much, because it's the Long Boy. It's just such a stupidly funny looking aircraft, and it's fucking based. Like, oh, we could probably fly this thing with 2 engines, but nah, we're gonna fly it with 4. And that's why I love it so much. It is a based aircraft. But my favorite airliner that I've ever flown ever, I can already tell. Okay, I got 2 answers to this one. Because I know the second answer you would already say is your favorite airliner by far. My favorite personal airliner I've ever been on was Cathay Pacific. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was beautiful, and it was just such a good experience. My second favorite airliner would be Singapore Airlines, and the reason why, and I know you're gonna go, okay, I need to go on this. What? I don't think they do it anymore, but back when I flew on Singapore Airlines, they did. Okay, this is how weird it was. They had free movies only on the entertainment system, but they had every single released Pokemon game that you could play.
Really?
Yeah.
Like on the telly?
Yeah. Like you can play with the controls, of the, you know how like the old controls are like the plastic long boys.
That's pretty cool, that.
Yeah, and not only could you play every other Pokemon game, like there was, so like I said, free movies, but there was like 250 games.
But you just need Pokemon.
Yeah, but but they just had all the Pokemon on there.
Actually, that'd really upset me because I wouldn't be able to save and take my save data. But while you were answering that question, I decided to try and figure out what my favorite plane was.
Mm-hmm. What is
Like,
your
not
favorite plane?
airline,
Your plane.
but and then I realized, my God, I am a basic bitch. Because it turns out that my favorite plane is the 747.
The 747. You are a
Because
basic
I just
bitch.
really fucking like the double decker plane, but it's not a full double decker. It's only the front has 2 decks. Why?
It's like, well, we got like a not even a we got like a quarter of the way there and went, you know what? No, we don't need to anymore.
Yeah, because I used to find it weird because I flew on Qatar Airways on a 747 years ago, and I got like an economy ticket, and a lot of airlines on the 747 used to do it so upstairs was a business class area and downstairs was economy.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason on this Qatar one, they had most of the upstairs was business class and first class, apart from like maybe like 5 or 6 rows,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just economy but upstairs. And I thought it was the first time I think I'd been upstairs on a plane, and I was just like, "Oh, this is cool," and
Yeah.
I really liked it. So
Did you
it's my
know?
favorite because of that.
Did you know that it's been flying since 1969?
Yeah, but they didn't have as long of an upstairs back then. It was a
No.
shorter upstairs back then.
It was actually 2 days after my birthday when it first flew.
Oh, now we're doxing you.
No, it's my and now you know when my birthday is. I expect presents.
But
But yeah, so we're both based in a sense that we find you find it funny that like the the top level isn't complete, and then I find it funny that they made a plane like really fucking long.
yeah,
Yeah, that's good. All right,
the A380 is boring. It's too much upstairs. 747, just the perfect amount of upstairs.
I always thought like the plane because like it must be heavier on the front, right? So it's like, is it front heavy?
Maybe they load the cargo in the back. I don't know. I'm not a pilot. I don't have a clue.
Hmm.
I'm bullshitting.
Anyway, conclusion. What have we got to say before we close off the podcast tonight?
Let me know if you hate me.
not don't let me know if you enjoyed me, just let me know if you hate me.
Yeah, well,
We don't hear anything, like no feedback at all. It just proves that
I assume I am loved if nothing is said, but if you really don't like me, let me know and I'll consider not coming back, but I have my own free will, so I'll be back. You can't really stop me.
You don't ever give a choice in the matter.
But I'd appreciate you letting me know if you do hate me.
Well, and
that's all I care about.
That goes with me as well. And to be fair, like if you hate me, I'll probably still make this podcast anyway because it's more of a therapy session than anything.
Yeah, I do charge for these therapy sessions. I am your therapist.
I accidentally killed my mic. I my budget ran out and you cancelled my therapy session. Well, thank you very much for all of you listening. I hope. Oh wait. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I thought my audio was off for a second. But yeah, no, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. And also, if you have a recommendation of who should be person of the week next week, let me know.
Maybe they'll all be talking about me, and it'll be me.
Nah.
Could be.
Person of the week next week will be like somebody stupid.
Just don't let it be Andrew Tate, please.
Okay, Andrew Tate is like is voided from being person.
It's my veto.
Your veto, yeah. Yeah, but to be fair, he was last week's person of the week, I guess, but I didn't.
You were about to say person of the year, and I was about to jump.
But like, I didn't do person of the week back last week, so he didn't actually win.
Yeah, he didn't win. I wasn't there. Doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. See ya
Bye.
next week. Bye.